Thailand's deep state royal power in the Constitutional Court of 1997 through 2015. So this is a very excellent article on the deep state in Thailand. So I'll just page through this. It's a fairly long article. So I'll let people, they can slow down the settings and read this entire thing on the deep state in Thailand. And they've taken millions and millions and billions of dollars in gold from Thailand, from Myanmar, from Philippines, especially massive gold from the Philippines. So this is being repatriated by the Alliance to bring back the gold and silver standard through the QFS now. So the 1997 Constitution going into that. And all of the ties with the king. It's all just page so people can freeze it as I go. Because like you can see, very long.
Yes, indeed.
Mm-hmm. Then next, I'd like to go through, like I'd mentioned, Philippines is connected to it. Aquino and 6 others face complaints over supposed gold shipment. And the gold shipments were going to, of course, we know where, and to whom. Huge metric, 3,500 metric tons from the bank, deposited in the Bank of Thailand. And then it's also being shipped to Switzerland and Geneva and all of these things. And there's gold trends, looking at gold trends in Thailand here and showing maps of all of this and going into Cambodia, China, Indonesia, Switzerland, Singapore, Hong Kong, all of their laundering operations. So it's really obvious what's going on. A lot of it goes through the Ukraine also. There's some of the dumps, especially the one underneath the bunker, the steel mill. People know what I'm talking about. There's a large dump in that Donetsk region, and it's full of gold. Massive amounts of Thai gold and Filipino gold, and Vietnam too.
EB, please go ahead for your second question. And after this, we'll go directly with the question in the chat box.
Of course, thank you. There's, it's translucent and it's oval shape. You could see through. It's like when you move water. And some are very tall and wide, like 4 or 5 meter height and wide. Some are smaller. It could be like just a ball, like a sphere. Sometimes I have 4, 5, 6 around me. Sometimes it's just one big, huge thing. I don't know what it is. I see through it. It's not the same thing as this because this is something, I don't know. It's those lights are, I have no idea, but the one that I see are really translucent, like it moves, like when you move water. I have no idea what it is. It comes into my house. Sometimes it turns around me. It's like I have feels like sometimes it's people, sometimes it's portal. I don't feel threat. I feel neutral. I have no idea what it is. Is it an energy? Is it a being from another dimension that I see like that because we are here? Or it's a portal? Thank you, Gene, for the answer.
Yep. So it can be many things. First of being when they're in their soul body, they can project that. So it can be a being soul body. Then it can also be an interdimensional being, like Deva type beings, which are real. There's many movies by like Arthur Conan Doyle actually had a movie that they filmed some of the devil, like people call fairies and those kind of things, exist for real. And he filmed them. There was a movie made about that. So it can also be that, can also be angelic being on a lower order. They can show up like that as well. So can be a myriad of different things. Additionally, even ball lightning, you can get small balls all the way down. It's called a charged cluster when you go and you get a static discharge off your finger to a doorknob, for example, or a light switch. That's actually a charged cluster of what people think that's static electricity. It's not. It's life force cluster of what's Tesla called ethericity, or the ether. So it builds up, and actually what kicks your finger back from the switch of the doorknob is not the ethericity or static electricity. It actually creates a anti-gravity charge and kicks you back. And so that's actually how the TR units generate a huge charge cluster. And so charge clusters can also appear and float and move around too. Frequently called ball lightning. When a submarine or a ship passes through, a lot of the pinwheels you see, especially as you get close to the equator, they have thought for a long time that was bioluminescence. A lot of it is, but a lot of it is also charge cluster, because it's like a needle again. And when you conduct electricity on a needle, you get charged clusters coming off of it. That's anti-gravity ethericity clusters of energy. And that's what submarine or the ship going through the water, especially as you get to the equator, where the two energy waves come out on the accretion disk, because the Earth's like a giant toroidal field, and from the central sun inside the Earth, it pulls energy out. And so as it comes out of the equator, you have two waves, negative and positive, and the opposite goes to each way. So the Arctic is the negative pole of the Earth. It's actually the South Pole. And the energy coming out, the positive energy will pull towards that pole. And then the negative wave will go to the Antarctica. And so the Arctic will pull the positive wave, opposites attract, and the negative will split and go the opposite direction. And because you get a turbulence by those two waves, it's like taking your hand in a tub, you spin your hand, you get a toroid, like a little tornado. But if you spin two hands by each other, you get these little spinning balls coming off, little tornado-like balls in different directions. And that's a charge cluster. That's actually what a tornado is it creates charge clusters. The lifting of an entire building is not mostly due to suction. It's due to charge clusters. It lifts the building up. It'll put a straw through a tree. It's not due to the speed of the hurricane's winds. It's actually creating an interdimensional shift. There's actually where they found, for example, a piece of a roofing tile embedded in a window without breaking the window, or a chicken inside one of those old moonshine jars with its head sticking out and no broken bones. Brick sucked out of one wall, thrown through the opposite wall, and the hole in the opposite wall is smaller than the brick. Because it's shifting, and as it's moving and gaining speed, going interdimensional, warp in other words, it stretches in the direction it's going, getting thinner. It actually goes to the opposite wall in a smaller hole than the size of the brick coming out of the other wall. So we've been told a lot of stuff is going on, and it's not what we've been told. There's a lot of stuff they've hidden from us. And when we learn about the amazing creation we're in, it's very likely on the timeline we're on. The timeline is gaining, a new timeline is gaining, that by the midterm, if we all focus on this and be kind and considerate, respectful, and loving to each other, the full disclosure could come out before midterm. The SCOTUS is making a decision. One thing they said, Roe versus Wade, to overturn it, because that's a fake out. They can pat themselves on the back, yeah? But in actuality, what that is due to the stuff they've been putting in people's arms, a lot of women that would get abortion can't have children after that because of what happened, that billions of people got. And so they're doing that. But also another decision is due to 2000 Mules, the movie, where it's proof that just with 2000 Mule, it would have overturned the election. So all of that can be coming out before the midterm. If that happens, we're going to see everything coming out by then. It's going to be massive. And all of this stuff we're talking about is going to be flooding the world. It's like, hey, go God. So we need to really focus on that and get that really solidified. That's what they've been doing with all their Hollywood baloney, is making it us focus on fear and all of these Foxtrot event and terror and all of this stuff like 911 and all of that. What they've been doing is focusing our mind and our imagination, our ability to image, and then thought directs energy. Energy becomes mass and becomes form, becomes the future. They've been focusing because they can't do that. If you don't have a soul, you can't do it. They don't. So they're focused us to create our own, prison. And so now that you know that, you can actually focus, like what I'm saying, all of this stuff. Watch David Wilcock with Mike Adams on Health Ranger. He talks about the timeline that's coming in. It's very amazing. So if we can all focus, Julie also, Julie's envisioning, did an envisioning on that. So you can watch that as well. And focusing your imagination. It's not fake. It's not just doesn't exist. There's only one original thinker. That's the being that created everything, Father God. And through the power he gave us, like Christ said, greater things shall you do. We can envision a new, beautiful earth in which they're gone. Because if we close the gap of the darkness and the negativity and all of this and learn to respect each other and let it go for anything that we've hurt each other or whatever, just turn around, walk away and love and bless each other, this will come into being. We can make this happen. So I highly recommend you go listen to the things I've mentioned and do that daily. At the end of every day, when you eat your last meal and before you go to sleep, envision the beautiful world you want and stop focusing on their baloney, negative garbage they feed us, and focus on the truth and the light of the Holy Spirit and the truth of God, that if you look in your life, you can see God has been there. There's some things that have happened, like I know for me and, and many others, you can see where the hand of God has changed your life in a direction. You've met certain people or certain phone calls come in or something at an almost impossible timing, so through that we can make an amazing change. And it's all how the CABAL got here in the first place, is negative groups started to create an opening and change. Like David Icke said, the trick they gave us is their mind. And we opened the door. In doing that, they walked in, and we can close that door and send them away. And it's very simple. Like David Wilcock said, if everybody on that with Health Ranger could be loving and happy, just even happy for one day, all of the fourth and fifth density negatives would die because they have to have the loosh every day. Thank you. Next.
Thank you, Gene. And Gene, I'm Bruce and Jacqueline. Be patient because there's a question on the chat. I'm just going to go over that question first. But quickly, with that being said, so when Gene mentioned that things are not fictitious, or what people may think it's crazy, it's really happening. So I'm going to invite you, I'm not going to play it, but I'm going to invite you to just check of a download that I received while I had another store speaker. So this is the intel of Monarch Solutions and what went on, why Toronto won the NBA Finals. So behind the scene, it was all about harvesting the energy from the Toronto area back in 2019. So go check that out. So next question. This one is really interesting. So allow me, Gene, to retrieve that question. All right. So question for Gene. Can you talk about dreaming? I'm laughing because I'm going to keep reading. So I have a very vivid dreams that I am fighting the bad guys and aliens, and I see spaceships in my dreams all the time. I feel as if I'm fighting dots, dots, dots. So, Ethan, I'm laughing because through several stuff, there's a point where I asked Gene for guidance, and Gene gave me like a few words, and this has unfolded a series of connections and, you know, realities beyond reality. So, Gene, please go ahead with that question from Ethan.
Yes, absolutely. So, another part, like there's only one original thinker. Everything God thinks is real. And when you dream or you imagine, it's real. That's the thing. They didn't want you to know that. In the DOMs, some of these interdimensional beings, can be affected by us as in our dreaming. But, what I do before I go to sleep is I go into the soul level. So I don't go into astral, because that's a lower level. If you're in a soul body, your power is massive, and astral can't touch you. So you go in domes, you go in space battles and all of this. Before I do that, I go in the soul plane. I put on my full armor of God, because I've actually, before I learned to do that, woke up in the morning with a broken bone. I got bones broken. I had bruises. I had bleeding in the battles. So put on your full armor of God, armor up, and then learn to go into the soul plane level. And then when you go into dreaming, learn to lucid dream. So I'm even now to the point where I can actually just think like I do normally in my dream state. I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to do this decode. I got Taino today. I was like planning out how I'm going to do stuff while I'm not awake. You can get to full cognitive ability in your sleep. There's ways to learn lucid dreaming. When I get up Gene Decode's back channel, we'll have classes on this. I'll do classes and documents that the Blessed for Service team has put together already. Some amazing stuff. They're amazing people. And so we have a lot of things we'll be sharing to help with this. In the meantime, make sure you do your armor of God, listen to some very 432 hertz, good prayer music, or some very clean high-level music. So you make sure you're at a very high level, so you're soul plane dreaming and not astral. It's like gridlock over a major city at night in the astral plane. It's really quiet on the physical plane, but my goodness, astral, it's deafening. That's why I like to go in the soul plane when I'm working even at night and wide awake. And so absolutely, when you're dreaming, that is actually a lot of the dreaming, even the stuff that seems totally ludicrous, like way back in the 70s and 60s, I was dreaming and things would stretch really wide, and then it would go back to normal and go really high, but only in 2 dimensions. There was no third dimension. I was actually going into a 2-dimensional Earth. There is a flat Earth, but it's 2-dimensional. There's no height at all. A circle is a wall. And so it's like in 4 dimensions, you can't tie a knot in a rope because it can pass through itself. In 2 dimensions, a circle's a wall. And so there's infinite probabilities of Earth, infinite Earths. And I've all my life been waking up on antimatter Earth. It's how I learned a lot of when I realized it was happening here, where to go to look to find the information, because I knew where it was there before they destroyed it all. And so now things are, because they're intertwined, because negative and positive, things are getting better on antimatter Earth, and a lot of the camps are being overthrown, thanks to the work of the Great Awakening and the many truthers like Taino and all of these wonderful people. So yes, dream real. No such thing as not real. No fiction, no science fiction. Every single thing exists somewhere in creation. Maybe not here, although a huge amount of it exists here and they haven't been telling you. So, like, for example, in bridges in Mexico, you'll see little tiny houses. They build those, like one in Mexico City. They have the overpass keep falling and breaking and all kind of problems. They realized the devil little people were upset. They hadn't asked permission. So they had a medicine worker come in, ask permission, and build them a whole bunch of little houses, and they never had a problem again. So this is actually a lot of stuff they've been hiding, so it's all real.